Hello everyone and welcome back to Sketch by Sketch. Today I'm going to be sketching hairstyles with this Crayola pencil, so that's all you're pretty much going to need unless you want to color them. I'm going to be teaching you exactly how I do these hairstyles, so let's get right into it. Today I'm going to be drawing more basic hairstyles, just like hair that is down, and then I'm going to do one braid. But if you're looking for a tutorial for more actual hairstyles like braids or half up and things like that, then leave me a comment and I will do a part 2 to this video. Also, I've already just drawn out some faces just so we can add the hair. So starting out, I'm going to do a straight hairstyle, and I'm just kind of going along the outline of the head. I've drawn these heads as if they didn't have hair to begin with, and now I'm drawing the hairline. Now, some people don't have a widow's peak, but I drew it in this one. That's just something for your character. Now I lightly sketch the body of the hair. Now you can make the hair as full or as thin as you want to. This is a straight hairstyle, but I still wanted to add some body to it, so I made it a little bit fuller than just normal, like straight hair. So I'm adding a lot of body around the base of the head, kind of creating like a circular shape around her head, and then I'm tapering it down into the straight hairstyle. Usually straight hair has feathered ends like I'm doing here, just making chunks of hair. Again, it's not super realistic, so you don't have to really worry about getting it precise or anything like that. Here I'm adding the front section of the hair. I usually draw this a bit shorter so you can see what I'm doing there, just kind of creating a little swoop of hair in the front. This really makes your drawings look a lot better if you put some hair on the face. Some people don't really cross that outline of the face with the hair, but it really helps if you know what I'm talking about. As you can see, that I've covered up even part of the eyebrow on part of the hair, so that just really adds to the realism. Alright, now I'm going to show you how to color this without adding line art. So we're going to go in, of course I'm doing dark hair here, so it really depends on what color you're using, but you can use the same principles. Take the darkest shade that you want to use, and you're just going to outline the hair. Now in certain areas, as you can see right here on the top, I got a little bit thinner with the line. That's where a highlight's going to be, so I didn't want a really thick dark line, but that's why I did that there. Now I'm kind of feathering the brush tip out from the roots. The roots are always going to be darker, and this really does help if you have brush tip markers. You can do it without, but it does help. So now I'm going in from that front section of hair and bringing that up towards the section in the roots that we did, and then just creating some strands. Straight hair is going to be a lot shinier in most cases than like really curly hair, so that's why the section of highlights is pretty thick, just because straight hair tends to be shinier and it shows a lot more of those highlights, so that's why I'm doing that. The hair behind the neck is going to be darker, so that's why I shaded that in, and then I'm creating just a few more bits of highlights all the way down through the bottom. So this isn't anything precise, it's just kind of where I felt like it needed to be. You can see what I'm doing, and hopefully you can duplicate that. Alright, now I'm going in with the roots again on this other side, and I'm pretty much doing the same thing. And then of course I'm going to outline the hairstyle. And then again creating that highlight right there and adding some strands of hair. And you can't see a little bit of what I'm doing because my hand's in the way, but I am just continuing to outline this hair because there is no line art. You do have to kind of outline it with the markers. And then this hair is going to be a little more shadowed because it is kind of pulled behind, but there's still going to be a little bit of a highlight, so I just put a smaller one in the back there. Alright, now I did say that this is the darkest color, but I changed my mind. I decided that I needed a little bit more of a darker tone, so I'm going in. The roots are definitely going to be a place where you're going to have your darkest shadows, and then behind, like if the hair is pulled behind the ear, or even if just the neck would be creating a shadow, just add a little bit of a darker color there. Alright, and then I'm going in with a lighter brown color just to kind of blend in that harsh line between the light and the dark. And I am going to leave some white here. I just like the style of leaving white highlights. Of course you don't have to, but I think that using the lighter brown color just blends it in a little bit more. Alright, I think this hairstyle turned out really pretty. Let's move on to the next. This one I'm going to do a short, pretty curly hairstyle. So I'm just at first drawing the body of the hair. As you can see, I want to at first get the shape that I'm going for, and then we can start adding the actual strands over top of that. Alright, and of course creating the hairline, I want a little bit of hair down in the front. Now for these curls, I do it a very simplified way. I just take my pencil and I draw a squiggly line. You can make this as tight or as loose as you want. And then I go over it just a little bit beside it so that it creates a strip of wave. As you can see, I'm just making a swoop and then going back over it to finish it. Hopefully that makes sense. Just please watch what I'm doing. See, I'm creating the swirl and then I'm going back over it to create the finished curl. You're going to go ahead and do this for all of the curly hair. You can make the curls as big or as small as you want, the chunks of hair as big or as small as you want. Of course, this is all up to you and what your character looks like. Sometimes I get a little lazy with this. This side over here on the right, I spent a little more time on, and then over on the left, I showed you. You'll see in a second that you don't have to be super precise. Curls just kind of look like one big shape, and when you add the squiggly lines, your viewer of your drawing will know what you're drawing and they'll know what it's supposed to look like. Hopefully all that makes sense. It doesn't have to be really technical is what I'm trying to say here. It doesn't have to be perfect, especially if you're like doing cartoons and things like that. It's more of just a stylized version of what the realistic way would look like. So I'm just going in and adding these squiggles, and then you'll get a curly hairstyle. And of course you can make this long or short, however you want it to be. It just, the same principles apply. Just something I'd like to mention, I am going to start coloring this one, but I'm pretty much using the same methods, but the longer the hair is, the less full it's going to be on the top because there's more weight weighing it down. So this really curly hairstyle is a lot fluffier than the first one just because it's shorter, so there's less weight pulling it down, so it's going to look a lot fuller. So keep that in mind. If you're drawing someone with really long hair, there's probably not going to be a ton of volume up top, so just keep that in mind. Alright, now I'm going to do a red hair color for this one. And so I'm going to be going in with kind of a reddish brown and just kind of drawing over those curls, not all of them, but just getting the basic idea down on the page. And I'm just using different thicknesses here just to create some fun shapes and patterns. Now I'm going in with an actual like orange red color, and I'm just going to start from the roots. And this isn't something that I can exactly explain just because when I draw curly hair, I just kind of put the color in where I feel like it needs to be, but I'm just again creating some swirls and creating some places of highlight, some darker places, just kind of throwing color here and there just so it looks like it has some shadows and highlights and the sun's hitting it. As you can see there, I'm kind of doing the same method, but just kind of being a little messier with this just because it is curly and it doesn't have an exact shape like the straight hair. Alright, and of course the ends are going to be a little bit darker than like the middle area, so I kind of filled those in. Now I'm going in with a lighter orange color, and I'm just kind of, again, creating the squiggles, no straight lines here. I'm just going in with that same pattern I've been going in just to kind of blend in those white highlights. And I did go a little bit outside of the lines with this light color just to make it look like the sun was hitting the edges of it. I think red hair is really pretty the way that the sun does that, and I was trying to capture it here. Alright, now I'm going to try a layered hairstyle. This is something that I draw quite often, probably because this is what my haircut is, and I just think it's really fun to draw all the layers and things. So I'm starting out by drawing the curtain bangs. So they're just going to be kind of layered, tapering into a swoop on the side. And then this hairstyle is going to be very full, so I'm just creating that shape there and then adding different chunks of hair in different lengths. So as you can see there, it's not exactly curly, but it has a little bit of a swoop upward to it, kind of like a blowout. So I'm just kind of creating those varying lengths as we go down. So the top's going to be shorter than the bottom. And then when the head's at this angle, the curtain bang on that left side is going to do a little swoop like that, as you can see. So that is what I have done there. All the hair should be kind of going away from the face, at least in this hairstyle that I'm doing. I think it looks best if it just kind of goes away from the face. And this is a hairstyle where you should probably be very loose with your pencil. It's very flowy. There's lots of sections and layers, and it's just a very relaxed hairstyle. So just be very loose with your wrist when you're kind of drawing it out, and don't make the lines too harsh. And for this hairstyle, I did what I did with the straight hair, and I put the right side on the shoulder and the left side going backwards, just so all the hair wasn't in the front. Alright, and now that my lines are dark enough that I can start coloring pretty much here, I'm going to start doing that. So I want this hair to be almost black, just because once I started drawing this, it kind of just looked like a character from a show I've been watching. I didn't mean it to, but it did, so I'm going to go ahead and just go with her hair color. So I'm going with a really dark color. But I am going to start with brown, just so it has some brown undertones, and this looks very light for it going to be black, but just trust me, this is how I like to start out. So doing what I did with all of them, I'm just creating that highlight there, but I'm being really loose with this hairstyle. Nothing too harsh. I'm just kind of letting that brush tip flow with the hair and just look really natural. And of course, adding all those highlights in the waves. And of course the hair behind the face is going to be a little bit darker. Okay, now I'm going to go in with like a gray color. This is where we start really pulling in the black hair look. And I'm just kind of outlining almost like line art here, just to kind of start getting that color in there. So I am going from the roots and just kind of tapering that towards that shadow, leaving some of the brown in there, but I am going to start reinforcing this darker color, so I'm not leaving a lot of it. Black hair is really shiny, and it almost sometimes has a blue shine, so if you want to, you can go in with like a purple or a blue, a really light tone of each of those, and add that into your highlights. It just depends on the shade of black. This one was more brown black, but if you're drawing like a very, very dark black like Wonder Woman's hair, then I recommend even using like some navy blue in the shadows and then a really light blue or purple in the highlights. And I'm creating lots of strands of hair in this one, just because of the hairstyle, it being so layered. I am just kind of adding lots of strands of hair here, there, and everywhere, kind of. And you can just kind of work with this and see what it needs and just keep adding color wherever you think that it needs it. This isn't something where you have to follow an exact rule of how to do it. Just have fun and just do what you think it needs for your character. Alright, now I'm going in with actual black, and I'm adding even more of like a line art look just by creating the shape of the hair, and then of course blending in from the roots and the edges. As you can see, that brown color is still there, but it's blended out a lot by these more neutral colors. For some reason, I tend to draw a lot of black hair. I don't know. I just think that it's really pretty in a drawing, especially with more tan skin tones. I definitely gravitate towards darker hair colors when I create characters. I just think that they're very fun to draw, and I like adding in all the rich shadows and things like that. So that's probably why that's what I tend to gravitate towards. And like I said about the purple, that's what I'm doing here. I'm adding a little bit of purple into the highlights, and as you can see, it really doesn't look purple once you blend it with the darker colors. It just kind of looks like it goes, so that's definitely a hack for drawing darker hair. Alright, let's move on to the last one. I did decide to do a French braid in the back of the hair, and this one is something that I don't draw very often, so it doesn't look exactly like a braid. It just looks like some sort of twist, you know. It's not perfect, but it is something that I tend to draw every now and then, so I thought I'd include it. I created a circle for the back of the head, and then around that circle I'm just kind of pulling hair from the top and around like it would have been pulled back, and then just creating strands of hair just crisscrossing, as you can see here, and it's going to taper in towards the neck and then create the long braid down the back. And of course you can make this as long or as short as you want to. You can put it in a bun, you can put it in a ponytail, you can do a lot of things with this hairstyle. So I'm just kind of crisscrossing here, as you can see, and the braid is going to get smaller and smaller as it gets to the bottom of it. And then of course you can tie it off and then add the little tail. And I like to add little wispy strands coming from the front. Alright, I decided to go with more of a blonde, really light brown in this one. So I'm starting from that top, and I'm just kind of pulling that shadow inward and leaving some highlights. And this is something that I'm just going to kind of start adding some shadows on the sides and then let the middle be more highlighted. I'm not sure if it's exactly the right way to do it, but that's usually how I do it when I'm drawing a braid. And then you start kind of outlining, and where the hair crosses over there's going to be a shadow, so keep that in mind. And then I'm just kind of drawing the braid in with the marker and pulling different strands of hair, making it look like it's not just one big piece of hair and that it's actual strands of hair pulled together. And of course this isn't perfect, but it doesn't have to be, so it's alright. Now go in with a darker tone and just really reinforce the shape of the braid and the shadows that we've created. I really love this style of not doing liner and just kind of coloring the pieces. I think that they look really pretty this way, especially in a sketchbook, so I'll probably be doing more art like this in future videos. So let me know if there's a tutorial or something that you'd like to see me do in this way. And now I'm going in with a yellow color just to kind of make it look a little more blonde, and I'm just filling it in with that. Alright, that is the last hairstyle that I'm going to draw today, just kind of finishing it up with my pencil there. And I did go ahead, you see it right here, and I did color one of the faces. I'm going to finish them and color them, but I will make a community post on the finished pieces because I don't have time to do them right now. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this helped you. Like and sub and comment for part 2, and I'll see you guys in that next video. Bye!